Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Love Encompassed podcast. I am Phil.
And I'm Victoria.
Of course, you are, and that's because we do this every single week together. What a cool intro!
Yeah, maybe we should I don't know. We got
like
switch it up.
beatbox the intro, like
I'm not good at beatboxing.
Love Encompassed podcast.
I remember my older sister. She used to walk around the house because that was like when beatboxing was in, and she used to beatbox around the house. And my mom would be like, "Stop all that beatbox! I don't want to hear that dang beatbox."
Nobody wants to hear you beatbox.
Makes me think of the Ninja Turtles. Was it Beatbox and Rocksteady or whatever his name?
True.
I don't
know. Man, we're really getting into it today. Now, today we're talking about trust.
Yeah, that's
and
a good
we've talked about it.
Yeah,
we were talking about it before this, and we were talking about trust and how that you have to have trust in any relationship,
Yes.
whether it's a marriage or a friendship, kids, whatever it is. Trust is the foundation of every relationship.
And what do you do when that trust has been broken? If it has been broken, that's like a whole situation to unpack itself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I am grateful that, I feel like our trust with each other has been great. And you haven't done anything to make me question it or doubt it, or you haven't done anything that has betrayed my trust. So that's always good.
Except for times when I've eaten muffins that I wasn't supposed to eat.
You've given food trust issues. No snack is safe up in this house.
That I've broken trust before.
I have as well. You were like,
Yeah.
hey, what happened to my... Oh, you wanted that?
Yeah.
That's my bad.
I trusted that it was going to be there when I got home.
You know who's really bad at it? Guess.
Preston?
Yes.
Yeah, Preston will eat anybody's food.
I just sent him something on, I think it was a DM on Instagram. Because it was like a little, one of those little reels, and it was talking about how, like, when your soda isn't safe and your kid keeps asking for it every day. That's Preston. My mom,
Yeah.
you gonna drink that?
Yes. He will. Nothing is safe. So
He's a
trust.
foodie.
So it's the foundation for which relationships are built on. Let's talk about how do you build trust.
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think you build trust by, staying true to your word. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not creating a situation that creates doubt. You're showing up in a way that builds that trust, and when you do it consistently and building that trust,
I think it's little things.
Yeah.
I think if you are faithful over the little, you're really over the much. But I also think that it's like, as you continue to, people trust the little things that you tell them. It's like, oh, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And then they actually do it. Then you're like, oh, okay. You start building more and more trust with somebody. Yeah.
I heard somebody say, but I thought it was really good because I'm like, I feel that. Because I am the type of person, like, I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but you have to give me a reason to trust you. And so I heard someone say, so many people are like, oh, you can trust me. But if you haven't given me anything or shown yourself to be trustworthy, then how can you just throw that out there and expect me just to take your word for it if your actions or who you are hasn't, supported that, or if the relationship really isn't developed enough for me to put you in that space of, I can trust you.
Yeah, because then sometimes people try to get there real quick.
Yeah.
You're really big about, you be like, they be doing too much.
It be giving sus vibes. It does.
You're like, they be doing too much.
I don't know if it's because
they just trying to be a little too close, and they just knew me.
For me, it's like, I know there are people out there that are super helpful and want to, like, I'm definitely one of those people. And I can understand the heart behind it and being like, hey, you can trust me or whatever. I can understand the heart behind it. However, if you try to force it, like, oh, you can trust me, and you constantly doing it, it makes me question, like, why are you doing this? Why are you trying so hard? You know what I mean?
I always get nervous when people keep saying between us. Because I'm like, I don't think it's between us. I think you're saying that. And if you have to keep telling me that, just between us.
Yeah.
Hey, this is just between us. It's like, nah, I don't think so. I don't think it's
you
between
know,
us.
I think there's a balance, right? If I just meet you as a person, and because we just had this conversation yesterday. um, I believe in friendships happening organically, okay? And I don't believe in forcing friendships or relationships for that matter.
Yeah.
And so I am like, when we were talking about it yesterday, and you're just like, oh, whatever. And I'm just like, I feel like, if it is something that I'm forcing, it's just not meant to be. And so for me, with that being said, it's like, okay, I can understand, like, if I'm entering a new, like, okay, I'm getting to know this person. And as this person is feeling more comfortable with me, say they come up to me one day and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm really struggling with something. And in that moment, because you're new to who I am, I say, hey, you know what? This is who I am as a person. You can trust me. That's one thing. But if I feel like if you keep trying to force it and force it and force it, that's when I'm just like, because my thing is, like, if I come to you and I say, hey, you can trust me, and then you don't feel comfortable still yet in sharing that, I'm not going to force it. I'm going to allow you the space to give you time to get to know me, to know that what I say is true about myself, to where you feel comfortable enough in sharing that. But I'm not going to keep like, oh, but you can, but you can, but you can. That's when I'm just like,
Yeah, that's when you give sus vibes.
Sus vibes, try hard. I'm good.
Yeah, that's what you say. I have to try hard. Because I'm a little bit more lenient. Like, I'm like, I meet
You
people
are
and I'm
with
kind of like,
arms wide open.
yeah. I'm like, what's up, man? Let's be best friends forever, And which is great, but there's also the downfall to it, is because you can think that people are a certain way only to find out they're really not that way. And you're like, dang, man. But I'm always like, well, maybe next time.
You are.
I'm
But
like,
but I think that's a positive.
maybe they'll be a best friend next time. Who knows?
But I think we just have to find the balance of that, because I feel like where you're the extreme of, man, that person really burned me, I forgive them, and maybe the next person will be different. I will forgive the person, but I'm like, I forgive you, but that access that you once had is not the same. And so I'm more of like, okay, I clocked it. And as a result, I think I've gotten
You are
better.
like, I remember what you did.
But I think I've gotten
2020.
No, I don't hold on to it in that way. I use it as, okay, let me be aware of that, okay? Because I know people aren't perfect. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So
then what do? Okay, so you have somebody, your friends or whatever, they break your trust. Is that like nixed? It's over.
Right. I think it depends on the depth of the friendship, how long I've been friends with this person,
Gotcha.
and honestly what they did. If you are someone that I have,
Okay, you've been friends with somebody for 15 years. And they tell somebody something you told
them not to say. I don't feel like that's like,
Is it over?
No.
Don't ever talk to me again.
I honestly, in that moment, would confront the situation and be like, hey, did you do this? And if they say, oh, that's my bad, I'm like, well, why would you do that? And depending on what their answer is, if they're truly like, oh, man, that's on me, I shouldn't have done that, I do forgive that person. I forgive, period. But I would still maintain the friendship. And if it was a first offense of them doing that, as far as like telling my business,
first offense,
or say, would you stop and say something that I didn't want them to say, I wouldn't be like, I'm never telling you anything ever again. I'd be like, okay, I didn't like it. You owned up to it. Okay, extra. Okay, whatever. And then we keep it moving. Now, if you keep doing it, I'm not going to be friends with you. That just tells me I can't share things with you anymore.
Yeah, you kind of keep them at a distance. Hold on. Not keeping them at a distance. You're just being aware of the behavior.
Ooh, I like the way you put that. Yeah. We're going to go with that.
You know what I'm saying?
It is, because here's the thing. I think that, again, the balance between us, where you're like super like, oh, okay, well, better luck next time. I tend to be more cautious the next time. Like, I'm going to be real. I am not quick, because this is a conversation we had yesterday. I'm not quick. I'm selective in making friends. And because I'm selective in making friends, I'm not quick in making friends because I am very much so a person of value versus quantity. Like, I'm very much so about, like, who I surround myself with has to be people of value and not just because I want a whole bunch of people around me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I think that,
I want valued quantity.
valued quantity. But if I'm honest, right, part of that is because, which is a good segue into a different form of, dealing with trust, is that part of that is using wisdom, right, from past experiences. But part of that is something that I'm still working through of, like, not building up walls, but, like, closing my heart off. Because you don't want to get hurt again, or you don't want to deal with the drama, or you don't, And the other part of it is just being real. Like, I'm at the age where I'm just like, I don't even say at the age. I've always been the person where I don't like drama. I don't do drama. And so if someone is starting to, like, be that way, I'm like, I'm good on it. But to segue into the fact of, like, dealing with, okay, I've been hurt. How do you open up your heart again to trust where the other person isn't paying for what the other person did?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we've talked about is they're not that person. I think I look at people and realize that, myself included, everybody has flaws and character flaws.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I can't really judge one person off of somebody else.
Yeah.
So I can't be like, oh, those people are always that way. Oh, they're that type of people. And I believe that people are people.
Yeah.
And it's like, you'll run into people that are like, that person reminds me a lot of so-and-so.
Yeah.
They got the same characteristics.
I agree that you have to use it as a way to apply that wisdom that you've learned in the next relationship, but not to close yourself off with it. And that's something that you helped me with, honestly, because I was like, nope, I'm good. I'm fine.
I'm good.
But really what it was I wasn't fine because of how it left me. Like, I didn't process it properly. I didn't process that betrayal or hurt properly.
Makes sense.
To where when I entered into a new opportunity to develop a friendship, I was closed off to it because it was really based out of fear of, is this person going to do? And because I'm afraid that could happen again, I just rather not.
Yeah, I just tend to look at people like, nah, they ain't going to do that.
You are very optimistic. But
that person on the side of the road with a knife's not going to kill me. They just need a ride.
They just need a ride. You be the person in the movie to get got first.
Oh, man, I thought he was totally different.
But I think the way I grew through that was, like you said, giving people a chance with using the knowledge and wisdom of when I begin to see things that reminds me of, it's more of like a red flag, caution lights. Okay.
I think as I've gotten older, though, I think that I am more apt to just approach things right off the bat. So, like, when I see people that start to do things, I'm like, hey, you're doing that? And I like to use the term coming across.
Oh, that's a good way.
So it's like, hey, you're coming across, like, whatever. And is there a reason for that? I like to just call it out just to be like,
interesting.
Get it all on the table.
So, and I'm not knocking you for that. I think that is, because I think as you get older, like, let's just call it what it is. The bandwidth that you once had to deal with bullcrap,
you don't.
Not.
It's like that one meme that you sent me that said, if I'm at the age where if you say 2 + 2 is 5, I'm cool with that.
You got it, homie, if that's what you said. You got it.
It's terrible.
I have been in not arguments, but I have been in conversation with people. And you could tell some people that just like to debate. They just want to debate and argue. I'm not that person. I'm not going to sit here and argue back and forth with you. If you believe,
and if you are, God bless you. If that's what you feel. That's awesome.
Walk in your
join
gift.
debate club.
Walk in your gift. But I'm just not that way. Like, I'm going to, unless it's like a bill dispute. Hold up. I got receipts.
Oh yeah. Unless
Wait a minute. Unless
I
you mess with
ordered
my
mashed
coin.
potatoes
Unless you
and
mess
they
with my
brought
coin.
me a baked potato.
But if it's just someone I could tell they just want to argue, I'm just like, I'm not doing that with you. I'm just not. Oh, okay,
No.
that's what you feel. Okay.
So that's what I mean by I've kind of gotten to that spot where it's like there, but when it comes to trust though, I
Yeah.
feel like if you have trust in a relationship and someone breaks the trust once,
It has to be confronted.
yeah, you got to confront it. Maybe, whatever. Now, if it's a major trust, like we've always had a thing, like in marriage, it's like, hey, you cheat on me, it's over. Like, because I just don't know if that is a thing that I could come back from. And there's people that can do it,
Yeah.
have done it. We've coached couples and they have come back from it, and kudos. I would just say right now, I don't know if I would do that. But then again, I don't know.
I am going to say, because I know everybody has their things, I if I was ever in that situation, because I know you would never put me in that situation, but if I was ever in that situation, I can honestly say where I'm currently at, I am where you are. Like, I don't know that I would forgive you, but just being
Never
fully
talk to you
transparent and honest,
again.
I don't know if it's one of those things where I would want to continue on. And the reason why is because I come from, my dad was habitually cheated on my mom, and I saw how it affected her and us every single time. And I know people that has experienced that as well, where the spouse cheated on them or whatever, and I see how much it hurts them and to break them into, you go through the work of healing and then you rebuild everything back up, but there are still moments where that person will fight in the back of their mind,
Yeah.
is she or whatever. And so for me, that is what I couldn't go through.
Yeah, I want to be clear. We're not advocating
Yeah.
divorce at all, because
No,
there
no,
are
no, no.
people who have went through it, and it's
Absolutely.
amazing. We've
And
coached people through it, and
yes.
it's amazing what they've
Yes.
done. I'm just saying, me personally.
Yes.
So you could look at it and be like, "Well, are you being hypocritical?" No, I'm just telling you, me
Yes.
personally. Like, every situation is different. You have to do what you feel is like, whatever, when that trust is broken. But for me, it's just like, it's not that I can't forgive you for what
Right.
happened. It's now I have to, every single
Yeah.
thing that now comes up, I would think about.
Yeah. And that's
I'd be like,
exactly.
oh, did you go to Walmart?
That's exactly where I'm at. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to put myself in that position where I'm constantly fighting and struggling. Like, did he, you know what I mean? And I just don't want to go through that. So I'd be like,
Yeah.
you know what? It was
Now
great.
that's us now, right? That's what we're saying, right? But here's the reason why I'm saying that is because we have coached couples, and I've seen God do amazing works
Yeah.
in couples.
Yeah.
Like, but what I've also realized in those couples is like they didn't get to that spot just a random spot.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just at a random spot. There had been things built up to that were
Yeah.
not talked about. They weren't confronted. They weren't dealt with, and led up to
Yeah.
that moment. And that moment then became a springboard where they dealt with the issues and got restored everything back.
And that's another thing is like, for me, it's like, okay, this person went through, again, not saying like if it was a hypothetical situation with us, like if that would have ever happened, I'm like, okay, especially because of how close we are, how tight we are as best friends, like, you are my ace boo cool. um, so it's like, okay, as much as, we're best friends and how much we love each other, not just as partners, but as people, and all the work that we put in and being honest and communicating, to get to a place where you switch that off, and then all the work that you would have to go through is sneaking around and hiding and then talking on the phone or meeting up with this person, whatever. I would be like, you went through all of that work to do your dirty, but you couldn't go through all of that work to bring something to me to work through it.
You couldn't go to date night.
You in this date night. But so that's another thing. It's just like, I'm like, I just, but I can also understand that there's been situations because of interaction with different people that has experienced that. It's like, okay, well, when I did try it, when I did try to put in the work for the person to hear me out and the person to, try and change or vice versa, they just, it just fell on deaf ears and they didn't do anything. So in those situations, I don't condone or advocate affairs at all. But in their mind, they reasoned,
Yeah.
I want to keep this person, but I'm not getting my needs, so that's why they dipped. If that was what, because there are some people who just have an issue with committing, and that's not it at all. They just, and all that. But it's like, what do you tell that person?
Yeah. I think every situation is different. I really do. I think every situation is different. Every couples we've coached and talked through, every situation is different. Some people have been able to come back from it. Some people have been like, I can't.
Yeah.
Like I can't. And so I think you have to look at each situation and take each situation differently. I think it's just why we say us is the backgrounds we both came from, the kind of day one, kind of how we laid it out to each other. You know what I'm saying? But then again, we're talking hypotheticals. I also don't know what I would do. And I like to say now that I'd be like, I will trust is over. It's done. See you later. But then again, we're super close. And I'd be like, just saying. For me, you don't love me as much, I guess.
I was referring to, as far as
Boom.
the question, like, what do you do with the person who said they've done everything?
Yeah, I think once you've done everything, and I tell this to everybody, listen, you got to pray and be led for your life, what God is doing for your life.
Yeah.
Everybody can tell you what you think or what they think you should do. You have to do what you're being led to do.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be different.
Yeah. As far as your statement of, this is what I say now because, blah, 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 blah. My mind doesn't even go there. And I'm going to say why my mind don't go there. As far as like with us, and I say that now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my mind doesn't go there.
I know your mind doesn't. Let me get it out, boo. Let me get it out. What I mean by is like my mind not going there is because obviously I trust you and I know you wouldn't. But even on my end, I know that I would never because of how much I love you and the boys. Right. And I respect you as a person enough to where if something starts like going south or whatever, to bring it to you. Because I guess because I love you, but also because I may not have been the spouse in the broken trust, but I was the child that experienced what it felt like when my dad cheated on my mom. I saw what it did to her. I know what it felt like for me. And I just couldn't inflict that kind of pain.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, we're talking about trust is, if you spend the time building all the trust on the front end and you work on the relationship, you'll never have to, that won't be a concern.
Yeah.
Right? We're big on communication. So we're like, hey, this isn't going right. Hey, we need to talk about this. Hey, we don't let it get to the edge of the cliff.
Yeah, and I think
we're
it's important.
Way on the other side of that.
And I do think it's important when someone is bringing something to you and being honest with you about something that could help develop, that could help continue to developing the trust and creating that bond. Whether it is a friend or a spouse or anybody that you have a close relationship with, to not become defensive when they do bring something that they are feeling from you in their moment of honesty.
Yeah. We talked to one of our podcasts about being a safe space for somebody. And I think that's what you have to do. If somebody brings something to you and says, man, this is the way I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Then you have to acknowledge that.
Yeah, and you have to own up to the fact. I get it. It doesn't feel good in the moment when someone's bringing something to you, but I think it's important to, if they're bringing it to you in a way that's like not trying to be attacking, to not respond in a defensive way. And even if they are coming across like attacking, I think in that moment to gain not control, but kind of like re-situate the situation to where it doesn't escalate by, kind of gathering yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By saying, okay, they're coming off really strong. All right, I'm going to be intentional about my response so that I can, make sure that I'm responding in a way that doesn't escalate it further. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely no. Because then I'm listening to understand not to respond.
Right.
So, yeah, I totally understand that. Totally get that. And I think with trust, the biggest thing is I think you have to, in every relationship, there's got to be little trust. And if little trust are broken at the beginning, then that probably tells you how that type of relationship is going to be. And then building trust over a period of time and communication and talking about things and doing all that stuff. I think that helps in building that trust so that it's tight and it doesn't get broken.
Yeah, and that's even in dating. I feel like if you're you're single and you're starting, or obviously, if you're single and you're choosing to date, because some people enjoy their singleness. But if you're choosing to date, it's like being aware of those red flags. Like we are referring to like kind of like long-term relationships. And, if it's something that you're kind of newly developing, dating, and even just a friend, if these red flags that are showing like you said, those little pieces of trust, okay, why would you lie about that? Why would you lie about something so small? Why would you lie about something so simple? For me, those are red flags to be like, let's put this on like yellow light. Like, let's slow down and like, let's see how this is going. And if it keeps popping up, then for me, I feel like that's a character flaw. And that's probably something that you should probably like, you know what? Maybe we should just be associates and just say hi if we walk past.
Associates.
I'm just saying, when people show you who they are, I'm sure we've all heard that. When people show you who they are, believe them.
It's good.
Not the potential of them, believe them.
I'm a potential person.
But you are a potential person, and I am to a degree, small degree. But if it's a new person that's coming into your life, I think the reason why you are like a potential person because you're really good at quickly reading people and being like, something's off about that person. And I feel like if we're all honest with ourselves, if we are talking to somebody that we just met or something's going on, we'd be like, something ain't right. Trust it. Trust that.
Yes, 100%.
Thing that's on the inside of you. But I know from being with you that there has been new people that's come into your life and you will give them the benefit of the doubt. But if they start showing their colors, you like, I'm out. I'm good.
We're just going to be acquaintances.
Yeah. But even with our children, I think that's different. We have to teach them, like if they are breaking trust, we have to teach them how to like the importance of what happens when trust is broken. What does that look like and what does that feel like, and having to rebuild that trust, and the importance of being an integral person and a person of character to be a trustworthy person. Like, what does that look like? Like, that's our job as parents, to kind of coach them into being trustworthy, human beings.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I love this episode. I love them all. So on trust, building trust, what it's like coming back after trust has been broken. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate all the people that are following, all the people that have let us know that they're enjoying it. It means a lot. Thank you so much for that.
And if you are currently watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe and notification button to continue to follow us. And if you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, we just want to say thank you for listening and following. And if you love this episode, or if you're loving this podcast, we would really appreciate it if you would go ahead and share, as we would always love to kind of build our community of followers. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Love Encompassed Podcast, as well as personally at Victoria Clemens and Phil Clemens.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us.